please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subdates 230214.7. Owing to today being considered by the Oikeri a day of romance, the Forks have decided to put on a weird show of spoons mating with forks in a bowl of spaghetti. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I have two videos I'd like to respond to. Since both involve blonde people acting like silly blonde people, they're doing the stereotype of blondes being stupid, no favours whatsoever. The first comes from a video I saw via Libs of TikTok, who tweeted the idea that people are responsible for their own well-being is tied to white supremacy and fascism. If we have a bit of time after, I'm going to go through some of the replies, as they are interesting enough.
This time last year I was, in fact, living in a tent, and it's been a wild fucking ride from there to now because, like, you know, tomorrow I move into the home that I fucking own, right?
You're Australian, aren't you? I think this video just got demonetized. I'm not sure if I'm okay with that. On a positive, congratulations for buying your own home.
Which is wild for me as well because, like, I genuinely, and this is, I think people don't really get this, but I genuinely believe the shit that I say. Like, this down to my fucking gut. The abolition of private property is like my number one fucking aim, right? That's just all I fucking want to do.
So you want to abolish the idea of private property, but you're excited to be living in a home you bought. Am I the only person who might see this as a bit of a contradiction? Now, I know you're going to embellish more upon this to justify what you say, but I do think leg to stand on is important.
Personal property is fine. You can have your fucking personal property. Private property, let's just do away with all of that fucking shit because it leads to fascism.
If that is indeed the case, might I recommend then that you sell your house, give away your money, any personal property, because that is private property as well. As it belongs to you, it is as much personal as it is private, and yes, I am being pedantic. You know, that thing many of you do to me in the comments. How one's right to own property though, how one's right to have privately owned property, which is what everything becomes when it is personal, and how that leads to fascism has me intrigued. I assume because of ties to, as earlier mentioned by Libs of TikTok, white supremacy, which is haram.
This, what you've done, is called fascism. And I know that that's a confusing term for some people, and I'm going to have a whole bunch of, straw mans in the thing going, oh my god, that's a fascism, you're overreacting. No.
See, what you've done there is insert a buzzword as a way of fobbing off criticisms. The thing is, just because someone uses a straw man does not mean they are inherently incorrect. It just means they've used a straw man. Now, this entire video stems from that comment. If you can't afford to pay rent, go live in a tent at the park. Landlords don't owe you a roof over your head if you can't afford. As I firmly believe in businesses having a right to determine their own future with minimal regulation from government, there is a point there. Is the government responsible for you having a roof over your head? This is where many people are divided. Some believe a bigger government is required. Some believe a smaller government. If there is a bigger government, should that bigger government provide all housing for everyone, or provide some housing for some? Should it prioritize people? Should a smaller government not offer any housing whatsoever? Should there be regulations? How big, how small? It gets quite messy. But the ability to own your own home, which goes then to be personal and private, should be a fundamental right for everyone to have. To aspire to own your own home is important. You know this because you just bought your own home, which now means you have your own private property and personal property.
In terms of economic theory, fascism is the genuine belief that individuals are responsible for their own well-being and welfare, and that if you're suffering and struggling, that's on you.
You do realise what you've just said though, right? Because if you're suffering and struggling, the onus is on you to get help. The onus is on you to find a solution. If you ask for help, people will help you. Of course they will. Some will. And that's why there are some systems in place in every country that is, let's say, liberally democratic and mildly progressive, ignoring the vocal minority pleas. Don't be pedantic, that's my job in this video. With what you're saying and how you're framing it, tying it to white supremacy, you're also implying it is on the government to constantly step in and guide your future, guide your mental health, guide your struggles so that they're not struggles. It feels like a cheat code to a video game. If you're the type of person to skip straight to the end without doing the journey in the middle, you don't enjoy life, you don't enjoy games, you don't enjoy anything. If someone is constantly there to nanny you, you live in a nanny state. It's not healthy by any stretch of the imagination.
And that thought line, that pattern of thought, also has really strong ties to white supremacy, has really strong ties to eugenics theories, and pops up a lot in Christian movements.
Because it's only Christianity people are allowed to dunk on in current year still. It amuses me to no end. Now, how this ties into white supremacy and eugenics theories actually fascinates me, but no doubt your interpretation of that will be steeped in, let's say, confirmation bias. There's some buzzwords for you.
It's really weird how all of these tools of colonization are dangerous for all of us and seem to keep popping up in the same sorts of groups over and over and over again who have historically made it their mission to make the lives of people of colour fucking horrendous. So, funny.
You know, you're absolutely right. That's why the two biggest religions in places like Africa, where a lot of those minorities you want to champion come from, either adhere to Christianity or Islam, Christianity being the biggest. They're to oppress, of course. I don't suppose you think the same for Islam now, though, do you? And of course you're only applying it into, let's say, dominantly white countries, when you yourself are a colonizer in a country where we sent our rather irritating prisoners. They were the ones that survived the purge because they refused to drink the tea.
But not funny, ha.
Let's just agree to disagree on this one. I kind of agree with Stephanie. So let's move on to the second blonde who has something clever to say.
We need to talk about this. I'm about to go to a movie and it made me think, like, people say, oh, if you want to talk during a movie, you shouldn't go to the cinema.
The special hell, a level they reserve for child molesters and people that talk at the theatre. Whenever I've gone to see movies with my friends, and I have had to see or listen to people gesticulating wildly while watching a movie, usually because they are holding a conversation whilst the movie is playing, not remotely related to the movie itself, I find it to be a distraction, irritating, and highly uncultured, uncivilized, uncouth. Peasants like that deserve to go to the special hell.
Lies. If you don't want to hear people talking during a movie, you shouldn't go to the cinema. Because, like...
You're right. Everyone should just bust out that Netflix that many have been cancelling for a few months now. Put some headphones on, perhaps, on their own in a living room as opposed to a gathered setting where cinemas rose to popularity for creating a communal exercise where a group of peoples could enjoy watching something together, which in turn makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside because others are enjoying what you enjoy, and naturally eating overpriced snacks. You look smirked.
Isn't the whole thing about watching something with other people in the same room to, like, experience it together and laugh and scream and have full-on analyses about the characters, like, while you're watching it? If you want to sit in silence like a fucking stone...
I think the issue you raise is, while you're saying that many would go there to have those conversations, a large number would reserve it for afterwards, so they can properly digest everything to ensure they don't miss anything while the movie is playing, because there's always that risk, and for that vast majority that risk is far too high. Sitting in stone silence isn't a bad thing. Some people will watch things like that, even live shows, music, comedians. It is something that happens in many different walks of life, and how one digests that information is on that person. I'd also add, many movie theatres do have disclaimers for things you probably shouldn't do. In the UK, if you go to View, they usually say, sit back, relax, enjoy the movie, with I think John Boyega doing adverts for it, telling you to turn your phone off as well, but people still turn their phone on anyway.
Just go home, like... And yeah, sorry, I'm that person. I am that person. Take me to fucking jail. I'm gonna be disrespectful every time because I will say things. I will say things during the movie.
Oh, so this is for you then. As you're an ignorant American, or just American to us English, yes, I know we limey bastards like to say things like that. You can hold this card when you go into a movie, so they know to give you the widest berth, so that when you're trying to talk to people, there's at least 5 to 6 seats where no one is anywhere near you and you can't talk to them. You can just talk to yourself. I hear that's really good for your mental health.
I will say a lot of things during the movie. Yeah, that's me. And that's just what it should be like. I feel like we should change the culture around going and see a movie. It should always be chitty chatty in the cinema.
I'm going to, with you, like I did the first, agree to disagree. But if we ever do share a cinema, watching a movie, and I hear you converse with somebody else, do expect an exceedingly large pair of Timberlands to hit you in the head. There is a special place in hell for those that talk at the theatre.